Greetings to all. Welcome to VMware training sessions. Srinivas here. Welcome to live session 2. It's second demo session. The same live session is is presenting as a demo session to understand is this training session is going as expected. So please consider this as a live sessions. So we are going to continue dash 2 topics. Sorry. Okay. So try to be interactive whenever it is possible, whatever the topics we are going to discuss. Try to be interactive. Yeah, thank you. Just a general information before proceeding further. Day 2 session, demo session. First 3 sessions. This is a session number 2. One more session is free to attend. And fourth session onwards, a separate Zoom link will be shared with registered participants. So who are the registered participants? Log on to www.logiclabstech.com. As soon as you log in, you can click on upcoming batches information. Once you click on upcoming batch information, you will find all emerging technologies which are provided by Logic Labs Technologies like Azure, AWS, Linux, VMware, Salesforce. Whatever the batches are scheduled, those are batches information available here. Experienced faculties are delivering and providing the training sessions on the respective technology. I have been providing the training on VMware as well as AWS Solution Architect Associate. So you can find current batch number 333, VMware Administrator. And in this particular link, you will find WhatsApp community link also. Please be part of WhatsApp community link to get a regular updates on the batch. You might be part of other batch information, other batch groups. So why it is important to be part of this particular batch? It is so important that to get a regular updates if any session is going to cancel or delay in starting. So there will be an update in this group. So please join this WhatsApp community to get a regular updates. I'm providing on the chat window. Please be part of WhatsApp community if you are not part of it. So you can get this link from the logiclabstech.com's website and click on upcoming batches. Select the respective batch WhatsApp community link. In the same link, you will find Zoom link. This Zoom link is going to work for today and tomorrow. You already joined today's session. So only it's possible to log in, register tomorrow session by using this Zoom link. Even if you are not registered, by completing the payment, you are in a position to get the live Zoom link session links by the admin team. So no need to worry about this Zoom link. This Zoom link is only for to join the demo session, the live session of first 3 sessions. Once you complete the payment, from 4th session onwards, you are going to get a separate Zoom link. Whoever completes the payment, irrespective of registering in the Zoom link, you are going to get a separate Zoom link once you complete the payment. And no need to worry about the 4th session before starting one day, you will get a notification about the new Zoom link to continue without any interruption. Yeah, this is. So is everyone getting echo? Please respond on the chat window. Is my audio is clear? Someone is mentioned that I'm getting echo. So please, yes, everyone is getting clear sound. Could you please check your speaker or rejoin the link, please? Thank you. If anyone is getting a disturbance or breaking, please interrupt me at any point of time. Yeah, thank you. Okay, back to the topic. So the first two sessions will be uploaded to YouTube link for review and understand how the training is going on. Third session onwards, here every live session is going to record for future reference. These live recordings are available for lifetime, whoever completes the payment. So first two sessions only, along with uploading to the LMS Graphy portal, they are uploading to YouTube also. There in YouTube, it is a free to review that recorded sessions without any issues. So first two sessions recordings will be uploaded to YouTube, and the link will be published in the WhatsApp community group. And you can, if you are registered with a YouTube channel, you are in a position to review that day two recording sessions. Okay. So from day three recording sessions, there won't be any YouTube upload. All recording sessions from the day one, all record sessions will be uploaded to LMS Graphy portal. This LMS Graphy portal is a separate link wherein everyone, whoever completes the payment, they are in a position to access that particular portal for unlimited reviews, unlimited play videos. They can download, they can play the video and refer old videos n number of times. There is no limit. Once you complete the payment, make sure you are clicking on the payment link, whatever the payment link information you are going to get on WhatsApp community. Please make sure you are clicking on payment link. This payment link, make sure you are at the right payment link. Just cross-verify you are paying the payment for VMware Administrator batch number 333. Why it is so important? Once you make the payment, there is no option of batch shifting and there is no option of amount refund. So please make sure you are paying the payment for right batch. Yeah. And you hope you already part of WhatsApp community. Please make sure you be part of batch number 333 WhatsApp community link. Yeah. So Logic Lab support team is available Monday to Saturday between 9 a.m. IST to 7 p.m. IST. You can reach, they send a mail communication to support@logiclabstech.com, or these two mobile numbers are available on WhatsApp. You can send a message or else you can try to reach voice call also. Admin team is available to assist any kind of queries. Yeah. This is the general information about this course. Please make sure you are completing the payment to continue uninterrupted sessions. We are available. Please register on our social medias, Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Please follow us to get a regular updates. Let's proceed. Today's topic about ESXi pre-requirements. Before installing, what are the actions we have to complete? That is today's topic. So most of the topics are I'm going to present as a live. Okay, whenever there is a reference required to the notes, any theory topic, I'm going to present where to register, where to search, and all those things. Please make sure you are getting the right information from the search engine. And I'm providing the notes which I'm talking about. There is a PPT also, one more PPT I'm going to present to each and everyone. This is a PPT I'm going to talk about. In between some theory, we need to understand the basics. So whenever we are going to perform some kind of activity, that activity is going to take certain time. During the time, I'm trying to cover the theory basic concepts which we need to understand. That is very much important to proceed with visualization. Yeah. So this is a way we are going to proceed on each and every session. So as usual, how we are going to connect? Just on your system, you are going to connect remote desktop session, and I'm going to provide what IP you need to connect. This is the IP I'm going to provide. This is the IP is accessible from anywhere, from any location. This is a RDP. This jump server is configured to public IP. So that means without connecting any VPN, you just need to have internet connection to connect the lab server. It is not a lab server, it is a live environment replica. Whenever you are going to work for an organization, either you need to connect a jump server or you need to connect a VPN to connect to client network. Here, I'm sitting in Bangalore. I'm connecting to Hyderabad data center where our lab, it is telling as a lab, but everyone is practicing. Actually, it is a live environment wherein you are accessing physical server, which is hosted at Hyderabad data center. Okay. So I'm going to connect. As soon as you connect, we are going to provide username and password details to connect this particular system. So everyone, whoever completes the payment, they are going to get a username and password to log into this environment. As I already entered the credentials, already connected to the environment, this is a jump server to access our live environment, which is hosted on Hyderabad data center. Let's proceed. So here, the first thing I'm going to connect. The server is sitting in Hyderabad data center. How I'm going to access the physical server, which is sitting in Hyderabad data center. So there is a card, remote management card. What is a remote management card? In this is a remote management card. This is a theory. Just I'm going to explain what is this remote management card. A remote management card is just like network card. Hope you know that network card, how it is look like. This network card, we are in a position to connect Cat5, Cat6 cable, RJ45 connector, where you are plugging in to a laptop where the network port is able to connect. This kind of network card is used to establish communication to a physical server, which is hosted remotely. Okay, so that is a remote management card. The remote management card for every enterprise hardware system. For every enterprise hardware system. Why enterprise hardware system? Laptop, there won't be any remote management card. The laptop is designed to use standby purpose one-to-one communication. Whereas in servers are enterprise server hardware. That server hardware is not possible to access directly. So there will be hosted in a data center by providing all the necessary functionalities. For that to access, it is not possible to go and sit in front of the system. So how to connect? There is a device called remote management device. That is a card wherein there is a remote management card for each hardware. We have in our lab, in our data center, Dell PowerEdge servers. The Dell PowerEdge servers remote management card is going to call it as a DRAC, IDRAC, Integrated Dell Remote Access Controller. For each and every hardware, there is a remote, same remote management card is a basic concept. For IBM servers, it is IMM, Integrated Management Module. For HP, it is Integrated Lights Out. For Cisco, UCS. Like that, for every hardware, there will be a remote management card. Without remote management card, there won't be, we are not in a position here. Especially whoever working on virtualization, they need to understand what is remote management. If you are attending an interview about virtualization, if you say that I don't know about remote management, gone. You are not fit for virtualization administration. Okay. So the physical server, how we are going to install? It is a first thing. What is a remote management? Remote management card is nothing but it is get assigned an IP. It is going to get assigned an IP. And that IP is going to register as a DNS name. Whatever the DNS name or IP, we are going to access that. See here, this is the IP address is assigned to that particular remote management card is nothing but a network port, network card. For that network card, we are assigning an IP address. With that IP address, and they are going to configure. Who is going to configure? Respective data center admin who are sitting in data center, they are going to configure this IP address and what is a username and what is the credentials to connect. Without this, I am not in a position to access the system. So whoever they are sitting in data center, they are going to provide this IP information and login credentials. So I have this login credentials. So I'm going to provide same credentials for you to connect this particular physical server. So as soon as you provide, you are able to connect. This is the first step. How you are going to install ESXi host virtualization. It may be any vendor. It may be VMware, it may be Hyper-V, it may be Citrix Gen server. Any virtualization, it requires a physical server. If it is a physical server, there should be a remote management card. Without having remote management card details, you are not in a position to access the physical server remotely. This is the first place wherein you have to land. Okay. Then next, what we are going to do to start with a remote management installation. So we need to have a ISO image. What is ISO image? A ISO image is nothing but a bootable media, bootable image. Whatever the operating system you are going to load, it may be Windows, it may be Linux, it may be, so say any other operating system. Similar way, the virtualization also having an operating system, that is virtualization operating system. That virtualization operating system in VMware is called ESXi. Okay. So we are going to download by connecting to the portal. It then no need to download for you. It's already downloaded and available in the same system. You can access under this folder. There is a software dump folder. Under the software dump folder, you have all versions information. We are going to use the entire this software dump by performing scratch installation, configuration, upgradation, maintenance, everything we are going to perform. I'm going to show you where to download. No need to worry. Let's proceed. So, yes, I connected to remote management card. What is the first thing which we need to do? Before starting off, I'm ready to install ESXi host. What are the pre-requirements I need to perform before starting off ESXi host installation? What is a ESXi host? I'm not calling as a ESXi server. I'm calling as a ESXi host. Why not server? It is a virtualization physical server we are going to use, and we are configuring, installing virtualization operating system. Why we are installing? To host number of virtual systems, number of virtual machines. That is the reason this particular system, whatever the hardware we are going to use, as soon as we are going to install virtualization operating system, it is going to call it as not server, host. We are hosting number of virtual machines, virtual systems. Okay, that's the reason we have to call as a technical administrator. We should not call as a layman technical words. So this is a ESXi host. Okay, let's proceed. So first thing, I need to verify what is the model, what is the details. You can see this particular system is a model of PowerEdge R820. What is R820? R820 is a model under Dell vendor. There is a different architectures, hardware architectures. What are the different hardware architectures? We are going to see here. These are the different types of hardware server types, models: tower server, rack server, blade server. In a virtualization, most of the environments, enterprise organizations are going to use for virtualization. We are going to use virtualization either 1U rack server or 2U rack server and half height blade or full height blade. This is a hardware are going to use for virtualization environment. There won't be, you don't find any tower server or 4U rack server in any virtualization environment. For each hardware type, the hardware model type is designed to perform certain functionalities. The tower server is going to provide more capability to provide storage functionality. That's the reason tower servers are most scenarios used for storage server, backup server, and all those functionalities. The 4U rack server also similar functionality, wherein wherever the storage, more storage is required, here they are going to provide more options to insert number of hard disks. That's the reason these two models, tower model and 4U rack server, most of the time used for storage, backup, wherever file server, wherever more storage is required. Now virtualization, it doesn't require storage. Why it doesn't require storage in a physical server? We are going to understand in upcoming sessions. So most of the time for virtualization, either rack server or blade server. These two types only we are going to use for virtualization. Whatever the server we are using in our Hyderabad data center, that is, we are using two servers. Those two servers are rack servers. What is a rack server? Rack server is nothing but it is going to place rack enclosure. It's just like a iron safe. This is the rack enclosures, different sizes rack enclosures, wherein this rack enclosure will be there in data center. That rack server, the same rack server will be insert in this rack enclosure. That's the reason this particular model, we are going to call it as a rack server. Okay. What type of server we are using? Rack server. In our Hyderabad data center, we are using two rack servers to perform our activity. What is the advantage of blade servers? The blade servers is having a higher memory capacity, higher CPU capacity. Not only that, the blade enclosure, the hardware type, before proceeding virtualization, you need to understand the physical blade chassis. This is a blade chassis wherein you can see that this is the image wherein you can find information. This is the chassis, blade chassis. This blade chassis can accommodate 16 off height blade servers. 16 servers. It is going to give the provision that even one hardware fail also, the operating system, that entire whatever the application can be swappable to other hardware. That much capable is this blade chassis. We can swap that hardware, even one hardware fail also, automatically that virtualization operating system and everything will be swapped with other hardware and make sure there is no impact to the business. Now critical enterprise environment virtualization layer is working on blade enclosure. Blade chassis, we are going to say that this blade chassis is going to sit in the rack enclosure. So each chassis, if you go with rack server, I can accommodate only in the rack enclosure, only maybe I can provide a provision, maybe 10 1U rack servers or 5 2U rack servers in one enclosure. In the same rack enclosure, I can insert 3 blade chassis. Each blade chassis can accommodate 16 servers, 16 hardware servers. You can imagine how much infrastructure can be placed within the same rack. Okay, this is a hardware. Every enterprise hardware now running on blade enclosure, blade servers. Okay, Cisco blade servers, HP blade server, IBM blade server, every vendor is providing the blade infrastructure to support mission critical business requirement. Okay, now in our lab, we are using R820 and R430. Both are rack servers. Both are rack servers. Okay, now I'm going to showcase another server. This is another server, which is, see here, PowerEdge R430. R represents rack, 430 rack server. Okay, is it 1U or 4U, 2U? You can get information by going to the search engine. If you don't know, is it a rack or blade or what is a tower server? Just you can search, Google, open the Google search and you can do a search engine. Understand? Dell PowerEdge. Dell PowerEdge R480. 480, 820, sorry, R820. See here, you can overview what is this server, how it look like, the videos available, how they are opening, what are the components are there. For other administrators, it is not required to understand what are the components are there, but as a VMware administrator, we need to understand CPU and memory. How much CPU capacity, how much memory capacity, what are the storage options available, how many network cards available, everything is we need to understand. That information, what is the theory about network card, what is the CPU information, we need to go through this PPT wherever it is required, I'm going to touch that particular theory. And if you are not able to understand why I'm talking about, please interrupt me at any point of time to understand why, whatever the activity you are doing in this VMware administrator, you need to understand why I'm doing. Without that, it is a meaningless. Try to understand. Please be interactive throughout the sessions. Yeah? Okay. Let's proceed. So I understood what is a hardware. Now I'm going to go and launch the virtual console. What we need to do, the first step, what we need to do, we have to mount ISO image. Mount ISO image, then we'll proceed with for other activities. So I have to perform different activities. So I'm going to proceed with mount ISO image. See here, there is no virtual media connection available here. You can see here, there is no virtual media connection. Without virtual media connection, if I reboot, it is not in a position to boot from ISO image. Why I need to boot from? I need to load an operating system means I need to provide some kind of bootable image. From there, it is going to start loading that operating system and start installation. Okay. So I'm going to connect virtual media. We know that file, where the file is there. Yesterday I told you what is the image file we are going to download. Customized image. We are going to mount 6.5, open map device. As soon as map device, you can see that it is virtual media available, right? Okay, virtual media is available. Next, proceed. Now, what I need to do? I need to perform a reboot to enter into the BIOS screen. Why we need to enter into the BIOS screen? Let me showcase. I'm going to perform a reboot of the system. I'm selecting in this particular remote management card home page. There is an options are available, quick launch RAS. The same way, we are in a position to get options for reboot and power off and power on in remote console also. I'm using in this management page to better understand. So I'm going to select, I would like to enter into the BIOS screen. Why I need to enter into BIOS screen? Let's see that. So I'm going to power cycle. Okay. I'm going to back to the screen. Now, as soon as whatever the blank screen we are going to get, that blank screen is nothing but a post power on self test. In this power on self test, what is my function? I would like to, before installing anything, the sequence. First, I need to connect remote management card, and then I need to identify the BIOS configuration. And then second thing, I need to verify, configure RAID controller. What is the RAID controller? We are going to discuss. Then once RAID controller is done, we are going to proceed with post installation. Okay, these are the steps we have to perform. So what is BIOS? Anyone? What is the importance of BIOS? What is a necessity we need to configure? What is a BIOS? Anyone?
Basic input and output system.
Yes, what it is going to do?
Uh, Means it's a memory modules will be there to check the settings and
Yes, the motherboard.
motherboard and
The motherboard is why we are going to call it as a motherboard. On the motherboard, it is every electronic device, even our mobile device also, a circuit board will be there. As soon as you press power button, how the system is going to online. During that online process, it is going to check the program, that BIOS, basic input output system, is going to check what are the devices are connected. What are the devices connected? How much memory is connected? How much CPU is connected? And it is going to perform all the actions in the post screen. And once that post screen is done, now I'm going to press in this particular screen, I'm pressing F2 button to enter into the BIOS screen. So I press enter F2 button, let it enter into the BIOS screen. So this motherboard, why I'm going to call it as a motherboard, all components are connected together. When we call it as a system is nothing but a combination of connecting all devices together. We are working on a physical system. That physical system, what are the components are important for virtualization: motherboard, processor, memory, storage, network. These 5 components are crucial, and we are going to call it as a system. Without these 5 components, I'm not going to call it as a system. Okay, first we are going to enter into the BIOS screen. The BIOS screen is nothing but a program which will be there on a motherboard. What is the motherboard? Whatever the system you are going to select: rack server, blade server, tower server, any server. The without motherboard, nothing. So everything you are going to connect to that particular circuit board, and it is going to detect based on the program. This BIOS version, whenever you purchase a hardware, it is going to have some default program. As soon as you purchase a mobile and as soon as you power on, what it is going to perform? As soon as it connects to internet, the first thing it is going to update the BIOS, the hardware components it is going to update. Same way, whenever you are selecting a physical system, we need to make sure is the BIOS, the program is up to date or not. Okay. Once that is up to date, then proceed with next. System BIOS. In this system BIOS, for virtualization, we need to consider 3 parameters. What is the 3 parameters? CPU, processor settings. Under processor settings, you will find virtualization technology. It must be enabled. And one more option, logical processor. This is a 2 technologies. You can see that the virtualization technology must be enabled. Whatever the hardware you are going to choose, that hardware you must validate. Is this virtualization technology is enabled? If it is disabled, you are not in a position to continue virtualization installation, operating system installation. This is the first step under BIOS we need to validate. What is the second step? Every processor, whatever the processor is going to install on the motherboard, that processor is capable enough threading, hyper-threading. Hyper-threading is a feature you are going to use. You might have heard about quad-core, octa-core processor. My mobile is an octa-core processor. What is that octa-core? Anyone? That octa-core processor is nothing but it is going to only one chip we are going to install on the motherboard. That chip is going to act as multiple processors based on the configuration of the system. See here, this is the motherboard. On this motherboard, you will find a socket called, that is a processor socket, wherein you are going to install a chip, processor chip. That processor chip, what is a capability? One processor chip can act as a number of cores, logical cores. That is, one processor act as a 10 CPUs at a given second. What is hyperthreading? That the same 10 CPUs are act as a 20 CPUs. In this processor technology, you need to understand what is a physical chip, what is the capability, how many cores, logical cores it can support. Because we are going to host a number of virtual systems by using single system. So number of systems I need to operate in the sense it requires a more CPU capacity, more memory capacity. That's the reason compute resources, whatever the hardware we are choosing for virtualization, we need to choose compute power, more compute power. What is more compute power? The more compute power is nothing but it is CPU and memory. Okay. In this virtualization technology, before proceeding, in this BIOS screen, we have to make sure virtualization technology is enabled, logical processor is enabled. By default, each processor supports hyper-threading. That hyper-threading, if you are not enabling on this, The operating system only detects only logical cores. If it is a capability of 8 CPUs, it can showcase 8 CPUs only. As soon as this logical processor is nothing but hyper-threading. As soon as you enable, that same 8 logical cores are going to become, are visible acts as in 16 CPUs to that operating system. That means more capacity I'm going to achieve. These two settings must be modified, must be enabled. Okay. Next, one more important. After this, profile settings. You might see that system profile settings. We have to make sure high performance. There you go to any system on your laptop or any system, there is a power management section. In that power management section, you will find balanced power or make sure battery saver. But in a physical server, whichever server you are using for virtualization, that system should be configured high performance. I'm going to enter the screen. There are different options are there. All these options, some of the options saves the power, some of the options saves the according to the requirement, but I am using this system for virtualization. That means I'm going to host number of virtual systems. So it should not be balanced. It should not be custom. It should be, must be high performance. Okay, so I'm going to get all the parameters, max performance, enable all those things are going to every hardware. It may be HP, it may be Cisco, it may be Dell, whatever the hardware. These three settings must be cross-verified before proceeding virtualization installation. Now BIOS configuration is done. The next step, what we are going to do. RAID configuration. What is the RAID configuration? Anyone? Any idea about RAID configuration?
It's a storage.
Whatever the disk it is attaching to the system. See here, it is in the post screen, it is going to detect one controller and it gives an option to configure RAID. I am going to press, there is a, for every server, there will be a RAID controller. A controller is nothing but a SCSI controller, SATA controller. It is a controller just like a printed circuit board, which is capable to connect multiple hard disks. That hard disk, how to connect and how to configure. As we are installing operating system, virtualization operating system, this operating system should work even any disk is going to fail. In my laptop, disk is there. If the disk is corrupt, what is going to happen? I am not in a position to power on my system. If it is maintaining a single system in the same single disk in a server, if that single storage disk failed, what is going to happen? My system is going to down, not able to work. When we are working on a virtualization, it is not one system. By using same physical system, we are going to host number of virtual systems. That means it is going to impact number of systems. So to avoid that single point of failure at the hardware layer, that to storage layer, everything is going to configure in a redundant way. What is a redundant? One physical device failed also, second device able to perform. That functionality is able to provide by using RAID controller. While seeing this, whenever this RAID controller is going to come into picture, there is a sequence. I need to press that sequence. I'm pressing as soon as the press control. See here, control S is the enter into Broadcom. Like that, control R is going to come. So I'm pressing control R to enter into the RAID controller utility. In the post screen, we are going to get option for every enterprise hardware, this RAID controller will be there. Without RAID controller, no enterprise hardware. In this particular enterprise hardware, whatever the disk is there, we have to configure. Without configuring the RAID, we are not in a position to proceed with ESXi host installation. So see here, how many disks are there? Here, as it is a practice server, it is only one physical server, one physical disk is there. Whereas in any enterprise hardware, by default, two physical disks will be there. Okay, by using two physical disks, there is a RAID levels are there. By configuring RAID controller, there are RAID levels. RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. Okay, these are the storage principles. Whenever we are going to plan for OS installation, we have to provide a disk to store the operating system files, to write the operating system files. That particular disk must be configured with RAID 1. What is a RAID 1? RAID 1 is a mirroring. RAID 1 is a mirroring. There are different RAID levels are there. Just you can search engine, go to search engine, RAID levels. Standard RAID levels. What are the RAID levels? RAID 0, RAID 1. This RAID 1 is going to have a mirror. There will be two disks will be there, physical disk. These two physical disks, whatever the data it is going to write, the data is going to write in both disks at the same time. That facility will be provided by the RAID controller. That is the RAID controller for every system. Here in the Dell server, it is a PERC RAID controller. So you can see that this model, what is the model? PERC. Some hardwares, different RAID controllers will be there. Whatever the RAID controller it may be, it is going to provide facility to configure whatever the disk available in the system will be configured as according to our requirement. Generally, for virtualization, as we are going to use for rack 1U server or blade server, in that 1U and rack server and blade servers, only it is has a provision, only two disks, two physical disks can be insert. By using those two physical disks, we are in a position to configure RAID 1. RAID 1 is nothing but mirror. Even one disk is failed, your operating system is not going to go down. It will work as usual. And you can replace that failed disk at any point of time as soon as you identify the configuration. So now I have to configure. Just a moment, there is a slight interruption at the okay. Some slight network glitch. Okay. So I'm going to configure this RAID controller. There is options available at the bottom of the screen. See F1 for help, F2 for operations. Okay, I'm going to press F2 by selecting desired options. To move the cursor, there is no cursor option is available. I have to use the keyboard to move the up and down. See, I'm going to use keyboard upper arrow, down arrow to change the operations. Yeah. So there is no configuration present. So I'm pressing on my system keyboard F2. As soon as I press F2, it is giving an option of creating new VD, new virtual disk. I'm going to select that, create a new virtual disk. Now it is going to give the RAID options. As it is only single disk is available, I have to select that single disk. Generally, in every enterprise server, you will find a two disk. You have to select both the disk automatically. The RAID level, whatever the RAID level is there, the RAID level is going to come 0 or 1 or 3 or 5 like that. So generally, whenever we are going to configure any operating system, we are going to select RAID level as RAID 1. Minimum requirement for RAID 1 is Minimum, maximum, both are same. Only 2 disks in RAID 1. Okay. So it is going to mirror and protect the data and configurations. Okay. So as it is only single disk is available, I'm proceeding with the RAID 0. You also need to select the same. Once physical disk is selected, let it be go with and clicking on OK. Once OK is done, I'm going to select OK to proceed with format, create a logical disk. See here, now earlier there is no disk. Now I created a disk group, virtual disk with a capacity of RAID 0 and created a logical disk. Without creating logical disk, if I proceed with installation, I cannot find storage. Operating system cannot detect storage to write the file system. So it is mandatory to proceed with installation. So virtual disk is created. Now I'm going to select again same F2 option on the same disk. F2 initialization. We have to do initialization. Start initialization. Yes. Initialization is going to do. You can see the progress. Let it initialize. It is going to format and it is going to create a logical disk and it is going to complete. So let it, it is going to complete initialization, no issues. Then we can proceed, come back. I'm going to save this configuration. As soon as, what is the screen here? You can see that F2 operations, F5 refresh, control and control P, F12. Okay, I'm going to press escape button here in this particular screen to come out. My configuration is done. I'm pressing escape. Are you sure want to exit? Yes, okay. Now I have to press Ctrl or Delete. So to get it, reboot this particular system. Okay, you have a console option. See here on this particular console, you will have a keyboard. In this keyboard, you can press respective buttons. Control, Alt, Delete button. Where is delete? Sorry. Where do you find del button? Yes, it is there. Control Alt Del. So it is rebooted. And the virtual media is there. Now I'm going to select F11 option to start my OS load. Already pre-requirements are completed. BIOS verification, RAID controller, we understood what type of hardware models are available. All those things are ready. Now we are proceeding OS installation. Without doing all these things, we should not proceed with OS installation. That too, we are doing virtualization. So for virtualization, it is mandatory to verify all these initial steps. In interview also, in any live environment you are going to work. If the requirement is going to come into picture, now this is a way you have to perform any kind of virtualization installation. BIOS verification, without connecting remote management card, I can't enter, I can't reboot, I can't do anything. So remote management card, to connect remote management card, I need to have a details. So you need to ask, what is the IP? What is the DNS name? Either IP or DNS name. And login credentials. Once we have that, open the browser, mention the IP address, connect to that and enter into that and open virtual console and then BIOS screen, RAID controller, mounting ISO image, proceed with host installation. Simple, right? So I'm going to press F11 to choose boot manager. Generally, the boot manager will be default for enterprise systems. Every time it is going to boot from the virtual media. So it is for practice purpose, I'm showcasing. I did just press F11 now. It is going to start installation. I have to choose where to boot from. If I'm not pressing F11, it is going to search all the options in a order in the BIOS menu. Whatever the order is there, it is going to proceed with all the step one by one. And finally, virtual media, wherever it is configured, it is going to boot. It is going to take certain time. To avoid that delay, I just selected boot manager option, wherein I am in a position to select boot from, where to boot. Directly it will go to the respective media and proceed with installation. Any questions? You can interrupt me at any point of time. Okay, this training is designed for your understanding. Simply listening sometimes is not going to work. Once you interact, it is going to help yourself and at the same time others also. So please be interactive, please ask questions. Okay. So I already selected F11 and it is going to go to the boot options and I'm going to select virtual media. If I'm not, this virtual media option is not there, I'm not in a position to boot from whatever the mounted image. I can't use a CD because it is not sitting in front of the system. That's the reason I'm using ISO media virtual media. That is virtual media. With that help of virtual media, I'm able to perform this functionality. Whatever the steps I did, you are going to do by connecting to this lab, and you are going to do a number of times without having any interruption. Okay, you have to practice. You are not going to get this kind of practice even if you go for authorized training center also. In authorized training center, you are going to get only scripted installation. You just need to select the script. In the background, it is going to perform all the installation. You are not in a position to understand what is going on. Okay, and anywhere, any training center if you go, they are going to provide direct installation. You are not in a position to get to perform this kind of setup. Okay, I selected the virtual CD to boot from. If I'm not selecting this F11 button and just let it go and boot, first it is going to check normal. Then next it is going to check network card. Is there any network boot option is available? It is going to check virtual floppy. Then it is going to come over here. This is a general boot order. I am bypassing by selecting F11 button. Okay. Permanently we can change. Permanently means every time we are not in a position to get virtual media, the virtual media option is not going to come. Okay. So I'm going to select virtual CD, boot from virtual CD. Yes. Started with installation. Perfect. Let it continue. Installation is going to continue. ESXi host installation, the operating system. The loading the operating system, loading ESXi. ESXi is nothing but virtualization operating system. The kernel, operating system kernel layer. That ESXi host is a proprietary Linux kernel. Why I'm telling, I should not say that Linux kernel, it is an open source. That open source is configured in along with some configuration modification to support virtualization. It's a open source is modified according to virtualization layer functionalities. It is similar to the Linux flavor. Okay, similar to Linux installation, this entire file system and all those things, it is similar to Linux. So we are going to understand few Linux commands, what we need to use in day-to-day operation. Okay, during the troubleshooting, we are going to understand, we are going to perform command line also. Okay, so everything you are going to perform and by on your own. So by understanding the concepts. So no automation is going to come into picture, and throughout the entire sessions, everything you need to perform, you need to understand why I am doing this. Then you are going to perform the step so that you are able to understand what we need to do, how to perform and all those things. If you able to configure, you are in a position to isolate the issue. During the troubleshooting, isolation and going to certain point where to start, we are able to understand. If you are not able to understand how to installation, how to configure during the troubleshooting, how can you troubleshoot? Okay, so everything you are going to do manually and understanding the concepts, and you are going to ask the questions and perform everything on your own. You are going to install ESXi host, you are going to install vCenter server, and you are going to configure cluster settings. You are going to migrate the VMs by configuring it, HA and DRS. What is FT? Fault tolerance. How to create a switch. What is the difference between standard switch and distributed switch? When we need to create a standard switch, when we need to create a distributed switch. Okay, all those concepts are one by one. Every session is important. Okay, so slowly, we are going to go in advanced topics. Okay, so every session is important. Don't take it light. I know this. Okay, not like that. Every session is important. I'm going to ask the questions in between how you are able to understand. Okay, so this is installation is going to continue, and I'm going to leave this installation. Tomorrow it is going to prompt me to proceed with further installation. I'm going to leave this screen as this stays. Once this loading is completed, it is going to prompt me, okay, one in step. So we need to configure that ESXi host installation. After ESXi host installation, we are going to configure by connecting to the console. That console is nothing but a DCUI screen. After configuring, we are going to connect web interface, web client, host client. So tomorrow is all about installation is done. Now we are going to proceed with rest of the installation. Every few steps are there. Within 5 minutes, this is going to complete. But this loading is going to take certain time because from the virtual media, it is copying the files to the local disk. So based on the interface speed, it is going to take time. Once this loading is done, the next minute it is everything is within 5 minutes, this installation process is going to complete. And tomorrow we are going to understand how to configure, what is the console we have to log in to configure DCUI screen, what is a DCUI screen. After configuring DCUI screen, what is the we are going to connect, that is all we are going to discuss tomorrow. This is all about today's session. Any questions, please? Okay, just a reminder, please make sure you are going to complete the payment. Today is the second demo session. Tomorrow also you are in a position to connect third demo session without paying any payment. From fourth session onwards, you are going to get a separate Zoom link. Please make sure you complete the payment if you are happy with and if you are happy to continue in this training module. There are a lot more is there. Just ESXi host is nothing. It is a basic starting point. With the help of ESXi host, we are going to install vCenter server and we are going to configure the environment, all those things. Okay. If no questions, we are done for today. Thanks for all your participation. Have a great day. Thank you.